What's good, y'all? It's your boy, 12th Okage, and as you can tell by the title of this video, I went to Greece. It was over spring break. It was with my class, but it was a fun trip, and so I'm going to show you everything I did in one big video. So I wrote everything that I did down in a journal right here, and this is all going to be accompanied with pictures and videos that I took in the highest quality possible. So let's see. Started off, before I even left, with some Greek phrases and their translations. I didn't end up using that many of them, but I did say kalimera, which means good morning, kalispera, which is good evening, and then kalinikta, which is good night. I said efcharisto, which is thank you. I said signomi, which is excuse me or I'm sorry. And I said yes and no, which are ne and ohi. Yeah, those are really all the ones that I spoke. So let's get to the first day, which was actually kind of a mess. So here we go. Day 1, March 30th. I haven't departed yet. I'm at home and waiting to go to the airport. It's noon and I need to be at the airport at 3. I am beyond excited and just waiting to get there. And then a little later, I wrote on the same day, we didn't leave today. The flight was delayed until tomorrow. So basically, we took a German airline. We were going from Dulles to Frankfurt on the way there. So we were going through Germany, and we took Lufthansa, which is a German airline. And recently they've been having issues with delays and strikes.
What the hell?
And we were no exception. So our flight got delayed 22 hours. But eventually we got there. Day 2, March 31st. We are scheduled to take off at 4 p.m. to Frankfurt, Germany. At the moment, we are unsure about if we have a connecting flight. Later on, I wrote, we figured our flights out.
Woo! Yeah, baby! That's what I've been waiting for. That's what it's all about. Woo!
There was confusion at the check-in counter. Obviously, there was lots of confusion because we had to account for our connecting flights when our initial flight got delayed 22 hours. So that was very confusing. We were all on the same flight from Dulles to Frankfurt. However, our connecting flights got split from Frankfurt. I'm going to Vienna, then Athens. I heard that some other people are going straight from Frankfurt to Athens, and others are going to Zurich, which is, I believe, in Switzerland, and then a bus to Athens, or Crete, which is another island in Greece, and then a flight backwards to Athens. We finally took off at 6:50 p.m. This was my flight. I was in the Vienna group, and from Frankfurt to Vienna, there was a 12-hour layover in between, so we were just chilling in the airport for half a day. They served dinner while I watched Bullet Train. This is on the flight. Frankfurt to, Dulles to Frankfurt.
Want a break from the
Excuse me, is about 7 hours. It was basically an overnight flight. So they served dinner. The options were pasta or chicken and rice. I had the pasta. It also came with a small salad, bread, and a brownie. I had Coke for my drink. I finished my food and movie, and we'll be sleeping soon. Day 3, April 1st. We are about to land. A marble loaf was served for breakfast with a blueberry yogurt. This is still on the flight from Dulles to Frankfurt. I'm sitting in Frankfurt Airport, and we had...
Want a break from the ads?
An 11-hour layover. Sorry, I was confused about my own writing. We had an 11-hour layover. It's raining here today. I've explored the whole terminal. I had a pizza with mozzarella, tomatoes, pesto, and something else. It was really good. I've noticed that this airport has few food options and lots of expensive jewelry, fragrance, and liquor stores. We are about to board to go from Frankfurt to Vienna, then Vienna to Athens. So with that, in Germany, in German airports, there is a lot of expensive stuff, lots of designer stores, fragrance stores, jewelry stores, because the Germans know what they like, so they don't need a whole lot of different food options. They know what they like, and apparently they're also pretty rich, because there were a shit ton of just designer stores in the German airport. Day 4, April 2nd. It's early in the morning, and we are finally in Athens. We got there around 1 a.m. Our bus driver to the hotel is named Phanasis, Phanos for short. I had sausage, a rice cake, a croissant with kiwi marmalade, orange cake, potatoes, and a hard-boiled egg with grapefruit juice for breakfast. This was in the hotel. We went to the Parthenon and walked around. We learned some of the history concerning the Turks. We walked around Athens some more and saw an ancient theater. Then we had some free time around the city for lunch. I got a souvlaki and a kebab with pita. It was delicious.
Then into the mouth. Nice.
We went to a museum filled with Greek art such as pottery and sculptures. Then we walked to the Agora. We didn't go in though because it was quite expensive. It was about 30 euros a person. We had more free time afterwards, and then we went to God's, plural, Gods apostrophe, restaurant for dinner. Then we went back to the hotel. So let's talk about it. That was my first and really only day in Athens. And overall, it was pretty good. I would say it's pretty good. Because the touristy parts of Athens, the tourist attractions like the Parthenon, which is like a bunch of temples on a hill, and one of them is a temple to Athena. That part of the city and like close to that is very nice and very, well kept, I'd say. But the farther parts of Athens that don't hold any tourist attractions are kind of beat up, which is close to where our hotel was. So the areas around our hotel was very beat up, graffiti everywhere. So much graffiti in Greece. It's not even funny. But graffiti everywhere. The buildings looked a little bit run down. But once you got closer to the tourist attractions, and the city started, it was a little better kept, I'd say. And the food was good. I went to this restaurant for lunch, walking around. I don't know the name of it. The name is in Greek. I'll put it on the screen right now. But that was good. The Parthenon was nice. We learned a lot. They had these marble steps with a bunch of like dents in them, and that's because apparently they would carry a sacrifice, usually like a bull, all the way up the mountain. And so when the bull fought back, it would obviously make dents in the marble and whatever. But yeah, got to see the whole city because, they don't believe in the Greek pantheon anymore, but just as sort of a sign of respect to it, it's a law that nothing can be built higher up than the Parthenon. So you could see the whole city, and the city as a whole is very beautiful, especially from the top. And the part of Athens closer to the Parthenon and closer to the National Gallery, very beautiful, very well kept. The food was amazing. So overall, I'm gonna give Athens maybe an 8 out of 10. Day 5. We woke up early to eat breakfast and leave the hotel. Breakfast starts at 7. Oh, sorry, day 5, April 3rd. Breakfast starts at 7, and we go out by 8. I had a rice cracker with orange marmalade, a croissant, orange cake, sausage, Ravani, which looked like cornbread, grilled bread with olive oil, yogurt with cherry, strawberry juice, a muffin with orange marmalade on top, and peaches. It's a lot. We are on the bus on the way to the port for the cruise. So the port that the cruise left from was in Lavrion, which is still on the mainland. Athens and Lavrion are on the mainland, and then everything else is going to be an island. I'm on the cruise till around 6 p.m. It's going from Athens to Mykonos. A lot of food and drink is already covered by a package purchased for each student. We went through escape procedures for sinking, and then I ate some lunch. There's also a small arcade I went to. The cruise as a whole is beautiful and has many things to do. It's quite windy outside and foggy on the water. I rizzed the fuck out of a Mexican girl on the deck and got her number.
Cristiano Ronaldo.
She's 15. Her name was Victoria. We arrived at Mykonos and we explored. We saw some old windmills and went around the island. I ate dinner there and headed back. I went outside at night and the sky and water were absolutely pitch black. So now let me stop for a second to tell you about the cruise. So, it was absolutely massive. We went on Celestial Cruises, and this ship that we went on had like 9 floors, so much to do. There was a little arcade, there were so many like lounges. So there was the Muses Lounge with a bunch of chairs, which is basically where they held all of the plays that they did at night, right? And then there was the Celine Lounge, which is where they held things like Greek dance classes, karaoke, disco, which I went to. I went to karaoke and disco. And then there was really an unnamed lounge, but it was sort of like the bar. So me being a minor, I could really only get like smoothies and juices. But the package that was like on our key cards that was purchased for each student made a lot of those free. So I really got free smoothies. Milkshakes were also on there, but I didn't really get any milkshakes. I didn't want to feel American. Day 6, April 4th. Today was very fun. We went to the ancient city of Ephesus and saw the Greco-Roman ruins. Let me tell you, Ephesus is actually in Turkey, not in Greece. So Turkey was on our trip as well. So I went to Greece and Turkey. So I basically went to Europe and Asia. Apparently, only 3% of Turkey is in Europe, so that means I went to Asia on this trip as well. There were lots of stray dogs roaming the island. We saw some old Greco-Roman toilets.
We in the bathroom.
Some guy tried to sell me fake ancient coins in his souvenir shop. I got some ice cream and got played the Turkish way. So you know I do the little cone tricks and shit? Yeah, they did that to me. Alright, thank you. Then we went to see how carpets are made. I saw how they extract the silk from the cocoon. Then they took us into a room and displayed some carpets where we got to walk on them and drink cold brew apple tea. Then they offered us some breakfast appetizers like fried cheese sticks. We had some free time in the city where some guy was fascinated with my hair. Because most people in Greece, most people in Europe haven't seen a black person. So they were pretty fascinated with my hair. Then we left and went back to the ship to go to Palmos back in Greece. On the ship, I jumped in the pool once and it was fucking freezing. Then I went on the sports deck and played a girl and her siblings in basketball. She was pretty cute. She was, I believe, Spanish. I did not get her number, though. When we got to Pomos, we randomly caught a bus up to St. John's Monastery. Then we had free time in the city, where I got ice cream. We went back to the cruise, and I had dinner at an onboard restaurant called the Aegean Restaurant. I went to bed afterwards. A bit more about day 6, which was Turkey, right? So as I said, we went there, and when we went there, we saw the silk. So basically how they extract the silk is like, so they get silk from caterpillars, right? And so when the caterpillar goes into the cocoon, they have to, like, they take the cocoons, right? And they put them in warm water. And so it essentially kills the caterpillar inside so it doesn't break the cocoon, turn to a butterfly, because at that point the silk isn't good. So they have to put them in warm water, which essentially kills the caterpillar inside, right? And then, like, they have this little brush that, like, attaches to all the cocoons, and then they put it on a little spindle, I guess you could say, and they roll it out like that. And then we got to go on the carpets. As I said, they serve the apple tea, pretty good. The carpets, so beautiful, so comfortable. The difference between carpets are, like, there's single knot and double knot carpets. And so I think the double knots are usually more comfortable. We got to walk on them. They were so beautiful. I'll put some up on the screen right now. So beautiful. I want one. And they said, like, they make them handmade. And, like, a lot of the designs get stolen, right? And so people who steal them will make them in a factory and then sell them in the US for 4 to 5 times more than it would be, traditionally handmade in Turkey where they come from, which is just absolutely crazy. April 5th, day 7. We went to Rhodes today. There was a small town called Lindos where we saw a castle with a knockoff Acropolis. It was going to be a hike, but we got lucky and found a bus which wasn't in the plan. There were donkeys available to go up and down, but I chose not to smell like ass. Near Lindos, there was a heart-shaped lake, and it was beautiful. Then outside of Lindos, we went to a fortress where St. John's Alliance was. There were English and French quarters with coats of arms everywhere. There was a church there too. We got 4 hours of free time where I had a souvlaki, and then I got ice cream 3 times. Some guy offered me beer. Then I went to the beach where some Egyptian beggars tried to steal from me, but I was playing with them. This 5-year-old was swearing at me and chasing me, but I was juking the shit out of him. It was a game, so his 15-year-old brother was, like, putting his hands up to fight. He was, like, squaring up with me or whatever.
Is this nigga serious? Is this nigga serious right now?
I had my important things on me still, so, like, they didn't take anything. Not even a minute after I left and I went up the street, I saw him yelling at his grandma.
Emotional, damn it!
Excuse me. We went back to the ship, and I went to a party to meet the captain. I got 3 girls' numbers that night. Noelia from Spain, Ava from Kentucky. Oh, and actually the third one was an L. Her name was Laura. She's probably also from Spain. But that was actually a fake phone number.
It's only fraud if you get caught, which rhymes. Alright? It doesn't rhyme, but it works.
But it's alright, because I still got some real ones.
And then the world gonna blow up.
Let's talk a little bit about Rhodes. And Rhodes was my favorite island by far because it was cheap, it was beautiful, and it was fun, right? So, during my free time, when I got the souvlaki, right, I said it was cheap because I got it for €5. And how much something costs, like the same souvlaki costs, depends on the island that you're on. Like on Mykonos, you can get one for like €15. But on Rhodes, I got it for $5, which was the cheapest on the whole trip. So that was absolutely amazing. And then I went on the beach, right? These Egyptian beggars, right? So the government of Rhodes, they say that, well, hold on. Our tour guide told us that the government offered like these Egyptian families, you know, like better housing and good education because there are a lot of Egyptian beggars on Rhodes. But I don't know how true this is, if there's any prejudice or whatever, but what our tour guide told us is that the Egyptian community chooses not to because it's been in their culture for thousands of years to be beggars, so they choose to continue to be beggars, right? So basically, I was told that they were trying to make me a mark, which is like an old people term for they're trying to distract you while someone else steals your stuff. But I didn't have my swim trunks on me or whatever, but I was still on the beach when I saw the Egyptian beggars, right? So I just like rolled my pants up, took my socks and shoes off, and like dipped my feet in the water for a little bit. But like I still had my important stuff in my pockets, and I had my bag on my back, even with my shirt off. So I had all my important stuff on me. Like this Egyptian kid came up, this 5-year-old, like very young, swearing at me in his language, and like the only words in English he knew were "fuck you, bitch," and I was like, "What the fuck?" But anyway, he was like chasing me around, whatever. I was crossing this kid up so bad. He almost fell. I think he fell one time. I think he fell. I was crossing him up so bad, and then like his older brother, right, came up to me about to square up or whatever. Not really about to hit me, but like you know, going along with it, sort of about to square up. You know, meanwhile, they couldn't rob me. They couldn't take anything from me. One, because I had my most important stuff on my person, and two, there were 2 teachers there and like 3 or 4 other students there. Like 3 or 4 of my classmates there. So like they couldn't even, if they tried to take anything, they get chased down and fucking jumped.
Like I gotta shoot him. I gotta hit him with the red shell from Mario Kart. You know what I'm saying? Hit your ass with the shell, and then you go ow, 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 type shit. Nigga, stop playing.
Like they could not win in that situation. But yeah, that was. And then like I said, in Lindos, they had the heart-shaped lake. Water's beautiful, and they had like so many like orange trees around. Just absolutely stunning of a view. Rhodes, best island in my opinion by far. Day 8, April 6th. Today we went to Crete. We were in the capital city, Heraklion. In Heraklion, we were in a small town called Knossos. We saw a small castle that was also the home of the royal family, as well as a place for storing goods. I had a red velvet cake for breakfast, and we left the island shortly after. I got another number on board. Her name is Sevilla. She's 18 and from Chicago. We are going to Santorini next and then disembarking tomorrow. Our suitcases will be taken in the morning, and we will go to Corinth, Mycenae, and Epidaurus during the day. Corinth, Mycenae, and Epidaurus are back on the mainland in Lavrion. I got another girl's Instagram. Her name was Maria Jose, and she's from Colombia. Also in Santorini, we visited a town with small caves. We went into one of them, and then we drove up the mountain. We drove more up the mountain to see a church. I fell asleep in the bus, and no one woke me up, so I was freaking the fuck out. I eventually did see the church and the beautiful Santorini sunset. The town this was in was called Ia. It's spelled like O-I-A, but it's pronounced Ia. The first town was Fari, by the way. I saw this guy at the photo booth who looked like... So this is back on the ship. I saw this guy at the photo booth who looked like Ned from Spider-Man. And then I got a girl's number named Jolie. Day 9, April 7th. We disembarked from the cruise today. We went to Corinth and saw the Agora, where St. Paul preached to the wealthy and wild Corinthians. Then we went to Mycenae and saw the tomb of Agamemnon, aka the treasury of Atreus. We went to lunch after, and I had moussaka. Then we went to Epidaurus and saw the ancient theater. The acoustics were great, and we did a sound test in the acoustic center. We took a long drive back to Athens and then went to a restaurant called Lithos. Right before, I got a girl's number on the street. Her name was Marie, and she's from Albania. there was a black brother helping me out. I bought a bracelet from him since he was so cool. We went to dinner and are leaving the next morning. All right, let's talk about this. So, this is back on the mainland of Greece, right? So we were in this city called Lavrion, which is also where the cruise left from. But that's on mainland Greece. Everything else was an island. This is back on the mainland. So Corinth, Mycenae, and Epidaurus, all on the mainland, right? And so, let's see. First thing, Corinth, we saw the Agora. The Agora, if you don't know, is basically like, it's the Greek equivalent to the Roman Forum, which is basically like a city block where all the governmental stuff happens. Like there's the Senate and there's political debates there and elections are held there and all sorts of stuff, like just all on one block. So that's the Agora. And so that is where St. Paul preached to the Corinthians, you know, and when he preached to the Corinthians, actually no, I forget which way it goes. It's either he preached to the Corinthians and they didn't listen, so he sent a letter, which you may have heard of, St. Paul's letter to the Corinthians, or it's the other way around, he sent a letter, they didn't, you know, get it, and then he preached. I forget which way it goes, but yeah. And so then we went to the tomb of Agamemnon in Mycenae, right? We went to lunch, and I had moussaka. So basically, moussaka is a traditional Greek dish. It's basically like lasagna, except you replace the pasta with eggplant, but I think most of the rest of the stuff is basically the same. It has meat, it has cheese. It's basically like Greek lasagna, except there's no pasta, it's eggplant. And it's pretty good. I've had it twice now, maybe 3 times now. It's pretty good. And so Epidaurus, we saw the ancient theater, right? So I said we did an acoustic test in the acoustic center, right? So the Greeks were very good at engineering sound. And so basically, the way they made the theater, they made it so when something important needed to be said in the play or whatever musical they were doing, right? When something important needed to be said, they had acoustic sense, so they had certain spots that would propel your voice the best. So like you wouldn't have to yell to someone all the way in the top rows, right? You could just speak and they would be able to hear you because the sound is carried in a certain way. So there's certain spots. So if you want to project to the center, to someone at the top in the center, you would stand on a little stone that was like in the very center of the whole thing and of the whole like stage. And then if you wanted to project to the right side, then you'd move sort of over to the right, and then that would be the acoustic center of the right side, and then same thing with the left. So it makes sort of a triangle. It makes a triangle, an acoustic triangle, that is just the best spot for you to project when something important needed to be said in a production. Also, the girl's number I got in Athens, Marie from Albania, right? I said there was a black brother helping me out, right? So basically, my approach when talking to girls overseas, right? This is my first time in a different country, but my approach, if I was going to talk to a girl in the city, right?
Hold up. Let him.
Here's the thing. I am going to ask for directions, right? But not a place that I actually need directions to, right? A place that I maybe passed by on the way that's far enough away so that I don't look like an idiot, but I don't actually need directions to that place, right? A place that's close enough that she might know, or she might be able to point me in a general direction, but not too close that I look like an idiot because it's like one turn away or whatever, right? So basically, I'm going to ask her for directions, right? And she's gonna give me directions, whatever, you know, because people are nice generally. No one's gonna be like, no, I'm not gonna give you directions, right? And so basically afterwards, I'm like, hey, you've been a great help. Thank you. By the way, what's your name? Blah, blah, where are you from? Oh, that's my name. Oh, I'm from America. You're from Albania, right? And so I say, hey, I think you're pretty cute, by the way. Can I get your number, right? So as I'm doing that, this dude, he was standing next to this group of girls, because there were 3 girls, right? Only one of them spoke English, though. So I talked to the girl who spoke English. That would, you know, just make it the easiest. And they were all cute, so, like, it didn't really matter. But, like, this one dude, he was there, he was standing next to them, right? And he was trying to sell bracelets. He was, like, a street vendor or whatever, selling handmade bracelets, right? And so as I'm talking to this girl, this dude, like, as I get to the point where, like, I'm asking for her number, she's like, ooh, you're a very lucky girl. You're a very handsome man. I'm like, oh, hell yeah. This dude, he was hyping me up so good. He's like, oh, very handsome. And then when I said, oh, I'm from America, he's like, oh, American boy who will take good care of you. You got that mullah. I'm like, damn. This guy was really hyping me up. So I had never seen this guy in my life. And he was the best hype man ever. Like, he was, damn. This dude was doing absolutely amazing. He was like, oh, American guy. Oh, he would take very good care. And then I got to the point where I got her number. And then, like, I was about to leave, right? Actually, no. Because this dude was so cool, I bought a bracelet from him, bro. You know, I asked him how much the bracelet was. He was like, oh, don't worry about it. Whatever in your pocket. I was like, whatever's in my pocket. He sold me a bracelet for 2 euros. Oh, I had to buy a bracelet. Like, he was just so cool. I had to buy it from him because he helped me out so much right there. So I bought one for 2 euros, hella cheap, right? And then he was like, hey, keep in touch. Very pretty. Hold on, I'm fucking up the accent so bad. He was like, hey, keep in touch. Very pretty, but keep in touch. I was like, oh, hell yeah, I'm gonna keep in touch, bro. That dude made my day, honestly. And this is back in Athens. It's like on the last day, back in Athens. That dude made my day, honestly. Like, he was such a good hype man. He sells nice bracelets. I bought one. Very nice bracelet. I might start wearing it soon, honestly. Cool dude. And this is the last day. Day 10, April 8th. We went back to the Grand Polis Hotel last night, and I packed my bags. I had a small breakfast, and we left the hotel. We are on our way to Athens Airport. We went from Athens to Munich. We are going to Chicago. Once we are back in the U.S., I can be on data again and not worry about any charges. So basically, yeah, that was the last day. That was the hotel that we stayed at on the first day, the Grand Polis Hotel. So we spent our last night there, you know, after dinner and whatever. Had a small breakfast. We went to the airport, right? So our returning flight was Athens to Munich, which is another city in Germany, and then Munich to Chicago, Chicago back to Dulles, right? So I didn't use any data because I don't think I have an international data plan, and I didn't want to get any roaming charges, so I was also on airplane mode the whole time, the whole trip. Because, like, on the cruise, if you're moving around like that and moving between, like, territories, excuse me, you could get a roaming charge, which is, like, very expensive. So I didn't want to get a roaming charge, so I just had airplane mode on the whole time. And then I would occasionally use the Wi-Fi on islands if, you know, I had free time and, you know, I sat down at a spot with good Wi-Fi. I would use their Wi-Fi. But, yeah. By the time I was back in Chicago, I was back in the U.S. I could use my data. I wouldn't get any roaming charges, so I was happy about that. I think I had some, yeah, it was probably McDonald's when I got back into the U.S. You know, the trip was over. I was back in the U.S., so it's okay to eat American food at that point. But I did my very best. I did not eat any American food while I was overseas. I didn't eat any American food in Greece, and I didn't eat any American food that one day I was in Turkey. And I was so pissed at people who did. The first day in Athens, so many people ate McDonald's for lunch. I was so pissed about that, but I didn't do that. Only when I was back in the U.S., you know, before I was out of the U.S. and back in the U.S. and I eat American food. And overall, it was a very fun trip. This was my first experience out of the country, and I absolutely loved it. I would 100% go back to Greece. I would go back to Turkey. Maybe if I could, see more of Turkey, since I really only saw one city, I would 100% go back. And, if my school offers a different trip to a different country, like on the last day, they took sort of a poll, a vote in the bus, like, oh, would you go if we offered to go to this country next year instead of Greece, and I think the top two contenders were Spain and Italy. I think Italy had the most votes. So, if I go to Italy next year, you'll hear about that, because I would definitely want to go to Italy. Yeah, I mean, that's my trip. It was very fun. A good first experience out of the country. Definitely very memorable, not just for me, but for my whole family. I'm the first person in my whole family to go to Greece and Turkey. My parents were actually in Greece. They didn't go to Turkey, but they were in Greece for my mom's birthday. But they got there like a day, I think like 2 days after me. They got there 2 days after me. So I'm still the first in my family to set foot in Greece and Turkey. So I'm proud about that. I get to hold that title. Thank you all for watching. Hope you're having a good day, night, wherever you are, what time you're watching this. And peace. P.S. I almost forgot to tell you, but I got a bunch of souvenirs for myself, right? So let's just go through them real quick. So I got this Laurel, little, I guess you could call it a headband. I got a Laurel headband in Athens, which is pretty cool. I got this magnet. So this is Athena's owl. This is actually not for me. This is for my my baby cousin, because she likes magnets, right? But hold on, let me go get the one that I got. Okay. This is the magnet that I got for myself. This is Play-Doh. And it says, the beginning is half of the whole, and then just a statue of Plato next to it. So that's the one I got for myself. That's on my fridge. And then I got myself a statue of Atlas. And I got my sister a statue of Athena, because that's what she wanted. I'm not going to take it out of her room, though, because she probably doesn't want me to. Then I got a cookbook, Greek cuisine. It has 50 recipes, appetizers, why am I counting like this? Appetizers, salads, pies, pasta, olive oil dishes, seafood, pulses, meat, sweets, and sauces. So that's 10 different types of meals, of things that I can make that are traditionally Greek. So I'm happy about that. And along with that, because it only makes sense, I got some Greek olive oil. I got a big old thing of Greek olive oil. This was 12.50 euros, so maybe like 14 US bucks, give or take. 500 milliliters, 16.5 fluid ounces of Greek olive oil. So I'm gonna be cooking. I'll probably make a cooking video pretty soon. But yeah, that's all the stuff that I got. Oh, wait, no, it's not all the stuff that I got. I also got a necklace. That's a bird. I got a necklace, right? And that says energy on it. Let me see if it'll focus. It's not gonna focus. It says energy on it. And then this is the bracelet that I got from the guy who was hyping me up in front of that girl in Athens. So now that's really all of it. But bro, look at this. Look at this statue of Atlas. That is so cool. That's actually so amazing. Anyways, that is my trip. That's a wrap. Peace. Guys, I lied. I got another little thing too. This thing to put on my bag. So now I have that and the little E, because my name starts with E. My sister got that for me when she went to Paris. But yeah. And here's the statue of Athena that I got my sister. And finally, this is the bracelet that I got for my sister in, I believe, Athens.